Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, classic, lesser known classic. This is episode number 2964 and Doubleshot 2858. Well, first we're reviewing the final Epic Collection to collect issues from the Sensational She-Hulk book, along with the last trade to collect issues from X Factor Volume 3. Well, in the case of Sensational She-Hulk, these last issues of Volume 1, because Mar brought it back last year, and then the end of this year, it's only 15 issues. I'll discuss it at some later point in that book. It's on the same radar, of course. Okay, so this is She-Hulk Epic Collection Volume 6, known as To Live and Die in L.A., which collects Sensational She-Hulk 51-60, Doc Sam's miniseries, which is 4 issues. Incredible Hulk, 412, 441 to 442. Thing of She-Hulk, Long Night, and material from Mark Presents 123 to 126. Now, I'm skipping Doc Samson and the Incredible Hulk issues because I've viewed them already. So, we started off with... Now, by the way, the writers of the issues are Kelly Corvus, Scott Benson, Michael Uri, Peter David, Len Kametsky, Sally Foch, Dan Slott, Evan Solik, and Doug Rico. They are organized by Dan Hover, Tom Morgan, Tom Bennett, Darren Agate, Paul Affey, Darren Johnson, Paul Paliter, Ken Lashley, Roberto Folis, Angel Medina, Brian Hitch, Steve Gerger, Andrew Wildman, Joe Bennett, and Ivy Reese. Of the writers, is there any of these writers I have met? I've met Peter David, but he's like the only here I've met. Artists, I've met Brian Hitch. And I'm looking here. I don't think I met anybody else. No. First, we start off with the She-Hulk 4-part feature from Mark Presents, where she's basically doing some paperwork and she receives a phone call where she goes to the hospital. And then she's arrested, yes, arrested, for murder. And she has no idea what the heck is going on. She just got there. She got a call, a friend of hers was in the hospital, and they arrest her, and of course she goes on the run. Because she's framed, because, well, the primary reason why, I guess a little bit later in the story, there's a mutant who basically looks like her. There's also this woman who looks like she's dressed like a female Batman. Yeah. And this creature poses her to indirectly frame her for basically causing all the rioting. And people think it's her, and people will see her. And eventually she's cleared of all charges. At one point she was arrested. Then she's cleared. And the thing is, this story is never brought up in the main book. Nope, never is. My guess to put this in here because it features She-Hulk, so I guess they're going to go, why not? And plus it's only 4 parts, so it's really wraps real quickly. Then the person just dies after being shot. And the thing is, they shoot her for no reason. Yeah, they shoot the other one for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, and then of course they bury her, and that's it. It's kind of a weird ending. Now, 1551, this is written by Scott Benson. This issue mostly put is She-Hulk revisiting her Savage She-Hulk phase. That's kind of what this issue is. And it's a parody issue of her revisiting that particular phase of her career back in the 80s. I believe it came out in the 80s issue. It's a comedy issue like normal. Now, next up basically is a 6-parter. Yes, a 6-parter that starts with issue 52 and does not wrap up to issue 57 called To Live and Die in L.A. It is a 6-parter where Jen goes home. And it's also this whole thing that, basically the titles of each thing are basically parodies of, or at least in basic homages, classic movies or TV shows. And mostly put in the story, she goes a little bit out of control. So old friend Zapper returns in her life, who has a mullet now, because 1990s, and a goatee, and a wife. By the way, part 1 is visit LA and die. You might be thinking, is that a name or something? I can't think of any. Of course, you see how She-Hulk is trying some outfits and some shoes, and we have Titania trying to get like a job, and of course, basically we're turning it down because of her background. Then of course they fight each other, and of course, well, the Thing is there too. And of course, Reed basically is like her bludgeoning is under control. Things that happen at 50, and then her father and her father's girlfriend shows up, Weiss. Yeah, these two are dating. They actually dated, and then Zapper shows up. Yeah, those of you curious about Zapper from the previous series, yeah, he was a skinny guy, looked like Hispanic. He looks like a generic white guy. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Like, that guy is Zapper. I look at him like, that does not look like Zapper. That looks like some douchebag who has his snobby wife. Yeah. And, yeah, written-wise, basically, it's weird. So, thing is, the name Zapper is a nickname that he got because he liked using ray guns. And it's also shown in the story that he's still in love with She-Hulk despite the fact he's married. So, yeah, there's also this guy here who doesn't like the fact that his show is like had a 5-point drop in rating. Like, what the heck is this? You're like so angry, and of course the producer of the show is like, finally the rating goes with writer, and I'm like, is this a parody of like real life Hollywood? And from what I can tell, despite the fact Weiss is a friend of She-Hulk's, she apparently has no problem with Weiss dating her father. Nope, no problem at all. Now, those of you curious, do these two ever get married? Not to my knowledge, no. They just date. They're just basically in a very, very healthy relationship with each other. Yeah. Then we have this greaser who just gets in a fight with She-Hulk. And she goes a bit out of control in these issues. Oh, by the way, love issue 53's cover where it is basically, I think this is a homage. I think the issue, it was like 37 Amazing Spider-Man. Where it's Green Goblin showing up. It's called Death Becomes Her. Now that is the name of an actual movie. Yes, believe it or not, Death Becomes Her. It's basically about these two women in love with Bruce Willis' character. And one of the women was played by Meryl Streep. And here's the weird thing about these two women. They don't die. The movie's called Death Becomes Her because these two women keep dying and then somehow they keep coming back. At one point they break their bones and they're still moving. That's why these women should be still dead. It's a weird movie. And Bruce Willis has got a mustache in the movie. And he's like, also got glasses, like basically I think he might be like a nerd or something. It's interesting the fact that it's like that. Because at one point in the book, She-Hulk does die. And then she sees like some guy riding a motorcycle, like, oh, is it Ghost Rider? No, it's Mistress Death. You know, the entity who Thanos is in love with. And in the post-mortem hall where she runs into Bucky, which he knows who she is, despite the fact at this point, this is before the Emperor Rickon in 05, that he knows who he is, despite he's been dead for decades. Oh, he read about her. And then we see, get this, Miracle Man hypnotizing the woman thinking of a good perm. And then Green Goblin shows up. Now, this Green Goblin here, you're thinking, okay, is this, now, at this point, it could be either Harry, Phil, or Norman. My guess is because they later retconned that Norman was alive all along. And my guess is this is probably either Harry, it doesn't act like Harry. I'm guessing this is probably Phil Hamilton on the mask. They don't say who it is. Yeah. And then you have Zapper just acting like this crazy scientist who really wants to survive She-Hulk. And then we have the covers like, She lives! She-Hulk lives! Which apparently it's like, yeah, it's Dr. Frankenstein. And of course she... Oh, what's the title for the story? alive again. Yeah, and also we have Wyatt, basically, Wyatt, of course, basically, is his afterlife. And the whole thing of this issue is basically She-Hulk gets back to life. And I think Zapper, she does, at one point he kisses her. It's like, whoa, Zapper, you're married. You're a married man. Why are you kissing me for? Yeah, and then, of course, we go see Mo, who is Morris, who's Jennifer's father. Of course, thinks he's dead. Yeah, and then, of course, he fights the Greaser. And then she comes completely out of control. And then she becomes Savage She-Hulk. Yes, it brings back that personality. Where she goes nuts. Oh, and then we have another parody of a title, The Young and the Resurrected. This actually is a nod to a soap opera. Yes. Which soap opera, you might ask? The Young and the Restless. Yes, that is the name of the name of the series, Young and the Restless. Have I watched this show? No. I just know the title. So yeah, Savage She-Hulk is basically acting crazy, and of course, Charlie's back normal, but the gamma radiation goes back. Of course, he kisses her again, and of course, basically, like Christine, that's Zapper's wife's like, you should need marriage counseling. And he's like, yeah, goodbye, Zapper writer. Hello, Wyatt Wagfoot. Wyatt. The guy who stole the only woman I've ever loved. I'm like, really? You were a skinny dude in the Savage She-Hulk series, which of course you were Twig. And it's shocking the fact that She-Hulk didn't break you. And the fact that you're younger than she is. Yes, Zapper is younger than she is. And then we see Susan Richards, where she's still wearing her, let's show off basically my belly phase. Yeah. Which they actually had the floss open too, which, get this, in the PS4 comic, there actually was actually a woman who actually said, like, how dare you? You're a mother and you're wearing that? And then Sue was like, really? And then she makes her, basically, her top part of her outfit disappear, showing her underwear is like, oh, I would never. Or like a typical old lady, like. And of course, basically, it's like everything's slowly returned back normal. Yeah, and then of course you have, get this, you have Jennifer coming out model called Nurse Emerald, Jennifer Emerald. Then she puts on like a swimsuit. And then we have this thing called Warzone show up. And then the penultimate story is called Edge of Plight. Is this a nod to like a TV show? That's the one with the Ramblers. His one kind of killed her. Edge of Plight. I'm not sure what this. It's coming out to a movie. I don't know what movie it could be. Yeah, fights Warzone. Yeah, then he keeps coming back, and then she becomes Savage again. And then her cousin Bruce shows up. Yes, the Hulk is here. Yep, he shows up in the fifth to last issue of the series. Well, this volume, anyways. Yeah, and this is basically, I think this is the period of time where Bruce Banner basically took over Hulk's mind. Yeah, and of course, basically, like, the other reason why he's here is because it's a nod to the first appearance of She-Hulk, where Hulk gave her a blood transfusion, and after all this, he gives her blood transfusions to her back to normal. Yeah. And then, like, right afterwards, like, after the storyline wraps up, then it becomes weird, where he's 58, where you have this guy called Tommy the Griffer. After She-Hulk deals with him, and then we have, like, a hole in this wall, and then Electro shows up. Yes, Electro. And She-Hulk fights him this issue. And move on. I read this also collected the one of the She-Hulk miniseries. I guess it's not in this one. Maybe it's a different one. Like, yeah, we have issue 58, 59, the penultimate issue of the series, where, okay, let's have her basically fight a bunch of villains. Where she's doing court, and sees a guy who clearly is not Wyatt Wagner because he had different haircut, he's got the red skin. And then we see various villains show up to be character witnesses for a lawsuit against a terrible tinkerer. And these people are the Ringer, Boomerang, Slide, Stiltman, Whiplash, Trapster, the Porcupine, Whirlwind, Jack-O-Lantern, and the Taskmaster. You're like, what? Yeah. Oh, even Matt Thinker's here too. And then she meets them all up, and of course, Parker, aren't you dead? You're right, I am. And punch himself in the freaking gut. Like, what? Yeah, and of course she was like, next, oh swell, Boomerang and the Ringer. I can't figure anybody thought we need both of you. I mean, you're the same character. You both throw things. It's like, it's not true. My Boomerang's more than his pathetic wings. And then they start fighting, and of course they punch both of them. Which, by the way, this has been accomplished. I've seen in wrestling, where Kevin Owens punched both Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Bam! Just knock both those guys out. And and we have She-Hulk. You have a confidence, She-Hulk. They taking my power. Whoa! The guy who spins around really fast. I better call the Avengers, tell him to leave town. And then, of course, we see Whiplash, and then we see Spy Master. It's like, let's see one more time. Spy Master, what are you going to do? Take pictures of me? He'll be like that. Jack-O-Lantern, you can throw all the bombs you want, but you won't do any good. Bomb. And you, Trapster, you're a stupid villain. You've always have been. You always will be. Mr. Ground said, Mr. Oh, my dead body. That's enough. Not only do I refuse to grant. Any emotion of it. I have someone dismissed the entire case on the grounds of it's the stupidest nonsense I've ever heard. And all the villains are, well, basically Slide's arrested. And of course, you have Tinker and Thinker basically just argue with each other, and She-Hulk just leaves. Yeah, and then we have this person in his cloak, like, person I was looking for. And then the issue ends with Jen's father showing up and announcing, oh yeah, I've sold the house in L.A. I'm thinking, you mean like, well, no, what about my stuff? My place where I grew up in. Oh, no, I put your stuff in storage. And I'm thinking like, wait, Morris, where's your girlfriend? Because basically, like, the last issue is called Bug Hunt. By the way, this last issue is written by Scott Benson and Lynn Kometsky. And then we have a neighbor of hers show up here. And, of course, Wyatt proceeds to go back home because of the last issue, because he's needed his reservation. And it's like, where's the door? And then a bunch of alien shows. Goes like, Jennifer, I think it's for you. Yeah. Oh, hi there. Could you hold 1 second, please? Thanks. Close the door. And then she opens up a closet full of a bunch of boatload weapons like she's freaking Rambo. I guess Lincoln is like, hey, let's have an action-packed finale to this amazing book. Yeah, and have to fight these aliens. Yeah, and of course, like, Millie the Model. Yeah, and of course, She-Hulk says goodbye, and that's the book. Well, since we're here, before I move on to the one-shot for She-Hulk and Thing, final thoughts on Sensational She-Hulk Volume 1. This book was absolutely amazing. Like, Byrne did a great job with this book. It's got Lynn Kometsky, Scott Herman. Not a bad issue, the whole series. This whole run, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I would say series, but there's a volume 2. Yep. But for this very first volume, it's absolutely amazing. Yep. So, then we have some Incredible Hulk issues and Dr. Samson. Which, these were by Dan Slott, believe it or not. Which, yeah, this could have been like the first time he's written Shield before he wrote the ongoing series. Also, they had one issue where they gets the Punisher. And he has a mullet. And you're thinking, why the heck is a mullet for? Simple. The 1990s loved mullets. And then we have the first is Incredible Hulk. They put in here Incredible Hulk 412, which is a few pages issues featuring that one. And then with Doc Samson miniseries. Then we have the issues other Incredible Hulk, the two-parter 440 and 442, which I've discussed already, skipping those issues already. And I'm moving on to a one-shot known as The Thing is She-Hulk: A Long Night. This is done by Todd Zerink with Brian Hitch in the artwork. It is a team-up story between the two of them. I love the artwork here by Brian Hitch. It's absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this book. Yeah. Now, in the case of Jen, anyways, this kind of was her first book she had with her name on it since the end of this Sensational She-Hulk book. Yeah, it's just a fun team-up story between two of them. And the way it's set up here is like Thing and Jen may have had a thing for each other, but Thing can't be involved with her right now because he's a happily married man, and Jennifer Walters was married at one point, but not currently. Nope. But she is dating somebody. Yeah, in the recent book, she's dating Jack of Hearts. But yeah, the one shot was amazing. But as the book itself, awesome. I give this book a 10 out of 10. Yep. Yes. And next thing to discuss, well, before I replace this briefly with a Thing miniseries, and then it's on to She-Hulk Volume 2. And then I'm worried about the trade. After that, I'm not going to do more She-Hulk stuff until I get my answers to She-Hulk Volume 2. But yeah, great stuff here. Next tab we have is Gotta Be the X Factor. Yes. We're here discussing issues a trade, the last trade to collect issues from X Factor Volume 3, Overtime, which collect issues 46 to 50 of X Factor Volume 3 and the X Factor Special Lila Miller. The Lila Miller one-shot, which we're about here, David. All this one-shot is basically what he was up to in the future. It's basically a prologue to these final issues. Yeah, and this issues in particular just continues stuff from previous issues, like continuing the whole thing of like Shatterstar where he made out with Richter, and then as soon as he gets back home, he kisses Valley Cooper. It's like, oh, he's got a future. Yes, first he kisses Richter, and then he kisses beautiful Valley Cooper for reasons. We have some more stuff about the future here with Ruby Summers. Basically, by issue 50, they kind of wrap up this whole storyline with the whole future stuff. And also by issue 50, this is kind of weird, where older Lila just knocks out her younger self, and then younger self is never seen or heard from her again. And the only time we see Lila is the adult version of her from the future. And this woman later got married to Jay Mandrix, and these two have a baby together. But that's kind of what happened over the course of these 5 issues. It's an absolute really amazing book. And I'm going to give these issues a 10 out of 10. Well, even though something up here David's run, let's talk about the final thoughts we have on Volume 3 for X Factor. Because these are like the last of X Factor. Like, just an absolute amazing run. Like, these 50 issues were absolutely amazing. Not a bad issue. And get this. In the entirety of the 50 issues, guess how many crossovers this book was part of? The answer was 2. Well, technically 3. But that was a backup feature for Dangerous Species. But technically only 2. That being Civil War 1, which is only tied in for 2 issues, and also Messiah Complex. And then basically, like, the book, which is amazing from that point forward. And next, for X Factor will be, well, it's the Triple Disc issues. And I counted how many trades discuss these things. There's 11 trades for these things. Yes, 11. Yes, so I have 11 more X Factor trades left to go, and I'll be done with X Factor. Yes, I do know X Factor is published right now. It's published a few issues. It's a very strange book per se, or it's like the book basically brought back the government incarnation of X Factor, and they mixed a bunch of new members with it. Like the only person part of the original X Factor group in this one new one is Havoc. Everyone else is like brand spanking new. But yeah, still fun book overall. And keeping this book was publishing when I was reading comics. Yeah, I actually read the book a little bit later, but I didn't catch it right away. But I did read like pretty much like just almost every single book that came out. But book is just amazing. Yep. And it was also the first book while reading comics reached issue 200. Because I had the initial thought though when the issues were coming out that I thought that maybe they would have where issue like I don't know, I think it was like 40, 45, 46. That one issue would be considered issue 199 and the next issue should be 200. But Marvel decided not to include the second volume part of numbering for this book. Not sure why, but they did. And basically issue 50, like what would have been the 51st issue of this very book, became issue 200. And it remained like that for 55 issues. Roughly about almost 6, about 4.5 years. It remained like that. Yep. And when I finished reviewing that run, that's the end of Peter David's time X Factor, because I've reviewed everything for X Factor for him. But yeah, that's pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do this like button. Next up is Case Closed. Okay? Next view. Bye.